I've been hiking all day in the rain. The biggest concern for me is my feet. Getting wet, blisters, dealing with the just dampness in my feet, moving around all over my shoes. There's some important things to discuss related to your feet and keeping care of your feet in a backpacking trip, but it's more important when it's raining, because that can be an absolute nightmare if it's raining and you hadn't taken care of your feet. Let's talk about them. Things to think about while hiking in the rain for feet care. Welcome to As the Crow Flies Hiking.
Well, now that I'm out of the rain, let me say that primarily I like to think about shoes to start off this discussion about foot care and backpacking in the rain. Now, I happen to use Ultras, and that is such a personal decision. I don't recommend a certain shoe to anyone. You just got to get out there and find what shoe works for you. Why I like the Ultras is the wide foot box, but other shoes have that as well. I really like the aggressive tread on some of the Ultras, which help in this situation of hiking in the rain, but also like in certain shoes. Now this happens to be the Long Peak, but the Olympus has a higher stack, but I like the stack. And I also, particularly for me, like the zero drop of the Ultra shoes. Though some people can't deal with the zero drop, I particularly like it. You have to find the shoe that works for you, and that is particularly true when it relates to backpacking in the rain, because when it's raining, if your shoe does not fit, and if it doesn't fit your particular foot, then you're going to have a lot of movement in your foot. When it's raining, your foot can slide, and you want to have the shoe that fits you perfectly. Now, let's go on to socks, and I'll go back to the rain.
One big thing is socks. Now, I've done a lot of hiking today in the rain and had to deal with my feet getting wet in stream crossings 4 or 5 times. The big thing that I use is the Injinji socks. The toe socks are amazing. They really are tight formed to your feet. It gives you protection from your feet moving around your shoe and rubbing a blister.
Yeah, the Injinjis have really kind of changed things for me. Years ago when I started using these, I had blisters on my toes and on the bottom of my feet, but using the Injinjis really stopped a lot of those blisters. I rarely, if ever, get a blister. Then I really started thinking about dual layering my socks to give that extra support with the shoe and to keep my foot from moving. So now let's talk about dual layering your socks. That can really help when it comes to backpacking in the rain.
In dual layering your socks, you're able to create even more tension with your feet and the end of your toe box so that you don't have issues at the end of your feet where your toes can get blistered, or your heel, or your arch.
The next thing that I'll discuss is what kind of products do you use on your feet when it's raining that will help you to prevent blisters and to prevent any kind of issues with your feet. Well, I have a few things that I use, and I mentioned in the next clip Glide, but I've been unable to find Glide recently in stores around me. But what I did find was the Gold Bond Friction Defense. It works just like the Gold Bond powder, but it's more like a roll-on. But if you put this on before you hike, it will really smooth down and prevent blisters, I believe, on my feet, or at least it's helped me in any way. So the product Glide, which is the same kind of product as like the Gold Bond roll-on application, works well for me. But of course, in any of my first aid kits, I'm always going to have a blister kit. I really like the Blister Medic kit that I've kept in my pack for a while, and then as I kind of use it up, then I'll go and get another one. But they're real lightweight, and they have the moleskin and different things that I can use on different types of blisters. And then lastly, of course, at the end of the day, when your feet are wet and stuff, I think the Gold Bond powder is good just to put on your feet to dry them out. But you really want your feet to, when they're all crinkled up like a raisin, to be dried out at the end of the day. So whatever you can do to prevent that friction, those are just some products. People may use others. Comment below if you have another way to prevent that friction, especially when it rains. Now let's talk a little bit about Glide and some other things.
The other big thing that I do is use Glide. Glide is a product that you can put all over your feet before you go hiking, and it really helps to stop the friction when it gets wet. Another thing that I do is Gold Bond. The powder keeps you dry at the end of the day so that you don't carry over when your feet are soggy.
So what if you don't have any of the other products and you just have to deal with just having a Band-Aid? Maybe you borrow a Band-Aid for something, maybe you left your first aid kit, I don't know. So what I've done in the past is I'll take a Band-Aid, just a regular Band-Aid, if I had it, no matter what brand, and then I take some scissors, and what I'll do is I'll cut the Band-Aid in the middle up to the cushion part, like so, and then it opens up like that, and I cut it on both sides. So I cut it right in the middle. Even if you don't have KT tape or something like that, what you have is a Band-Aid that can create an X. So you put it across the blister, and then as you do it and it wraps around, you can create an X with these 4 pieces of the end of the Band-Aid. At least with that, you can cut it and create enough tension on the Band-Aid to keep it on your toe, because when it's raining, everything's going to slide around your foot, and so you want something that's going to be tight on that blister or hot spot to keep your feet from being inflamed even more throughout the rest of the day.
One of the other things that I really like to do is take a Band-Aid when I do have a blister with KT tape or moleskin and use that on the blister.
I even had one of my buddies come on and talk a little bit about KT tape. That has been an amazing product for a lot of backpackers, and I like to use it as well. But we had hiked on that first clips in a torrential type of rain. The next day it dried out, but he had had some kind of hot spots. So he took the KT tape and put it on, and it helped him the rest of the day. So take a look at Gone Feral with Squidly. Thanks, Squidly, for agreeing to be a part of this little video.
After yesterday, where it was an all-day rain, a bunch of stream crossings, walking around in wet shoes, wet socks, I had some rubbing on my heels. I don't have blisters, I don't really have hot spots, but I'm just doing a little preventative maintenance right now because I've got a lot of miles to do, and I'm kind of feeling a little bit of rubbing. So what I'm using is KT tape. And the good thing about this is once you put it on, it's on there until you intentionally take it off. And so I'm going to be putting this on the backs of my heels just as preventative maintenance for today.
Thank you guys for watching this episode of As the Crow Flies Hiking. While hiking in the rain, it's very important to deal with your feet and make sure that you're not going to have issues on multi-day hikes when it's raining the first day like it is for us today. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next adventure. Woo! It's really coming down.